Good afternoon and welcome to all of our viewers watching this live stream about Microsoft Power Automate. Thanks for joining us. Today we will guide you through your first use of Power Automate, or Microsoft Flow as it was called before Microsoft changed the name. My name is Toine Lambalk, Compliance Manager at Wortel and Power Platform Specialist, and today I'm joined once again by Jeremy Levoye. Jeremy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you at first to be here. I joined it last time very well with our presentation about our live stream, I have to say, about Power Apps.
Yeah,
and this time I'm joining you for Power Automate, like you said. I'm Jeremy Levoye. I'm working at Wortel for 1.5 years, but almost 7 years present in the Office 365 business.
Wonderful. A lot of experience joining us here tonight.
Yes.
Welcome, Jeremy. Also joining us is Maurice. Maurice will help us with the questions. Maurice, can you please introduce yourself and tell our viewers how they can ask their questions?
Yes, Tom. Thank you. As always, you can send in your questions using hashtag AskWortel on Twitter or here on YouTube using the live chat box. And today's prize for the best question is an Amazon gift card of €50.
Wonderful prize. Thanks for your introduction, Maurice, and also thanks for joining us. First things first, we're going to talk about the Microsoft Power Platform, what Power Apps is part of. And Microsoft Power Platform is Microsoft's low-code platform for creating tailored business applications. And this platform consists of 4 different solutions, which I'm going to show on my screen. First of which is Power Apps. And Power Apps is a topic which Jeremy and I have already hosted a session about. So if you want to review that one, please check our YouTube channel. Power Automate is the main topic of today's session. Power BI is a tool for analyzing data. And virtual agents, the 4th option, is a solution for creating chatbots. About Power Automate, what it can be used for. Power Automate is a solution with which you can create low-code workflows. So you can automate processes and time-consuming tasks. And we do this in a sort of low-code Lego-like approach, which basically means that by combining different building blocks, you can create your own workflow that specifically meets your needs. And each workflow consists of 3 different components. Every workflow starts with a trigger. So a workflow starts with a trigger, which can either be a scheduled trigger, for example, every Friday at 5 o'clock or every day at 9 o'clock in the morning. It can be an automated trigger, which basically means that the workflow will start when something else happens, for example, when you receive an email. And the 3rd trigger can be a button click, so you can start a flow by clicking a button yourself. When a flow starts with a trigger, you add actions to it, which are basically the tasks that the workflow executes automatically. And you can add conditions which determine how a workflow proceeds. So a workflow can end in multiple different ways. When you create a workflow, it basically looks a bit like this. So by combining the different building blocks, you can create basically any type of workflow that you want. And at first this may seem difficult, but as you will see in the demonstration of Jeremy, it's actually really easy to work with. And our demonstration today consists of 3 examples of workflows which we are going to create live. We are going to use the 3 different types of triggers. The first one is a schedule trigger. We will create a workflow that sends you a notification if it is likely that it's going to rain tomorrow. Just a quick reminder, very easy workflow, but just to get started. The second one we are going to create is one that starts on a button press and automatically sets your out of office for the day. And the 3rd one we are going to create live is an automated workflow that automatically starts for new items in a Sharepoint list and requests approval from a manager. Everything we are going to show today is included in most of the Office 365 subscriptions, which means that if you are using Office 365 or Microsoft 365, you can recreate everything we are doing today and way more than that. I suggest we get started, but not before I have asked Maurice if there are any questions so far.
Right one. Yes, of course. There's a question from Jamie Reimers. Can a workflow contain multiple triggers and or conditions?
Yeah, good question. A workflow can contain multiple actions, multiple conditions as well. So a workflow can branch out in different endings. But each workflow can only contain one trigger, so one starting point for a workflow. But Jeremy, there are multiple ways to trigger a flow so that you can basically trigger it in multiple ways. Can you explain us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so there are multiple solutions to achieve that goal, but a very simple explanation to get started with is to make a flow that's launch the other flow. So it's possible to trigger another flow with the first flow.
Great, so there are ways to do that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Are there any other questions?
Not at the moment, Toine.
Wonderful. Well, if there are, keep them coming. We are happy to answer them. And if it matches our time schedule, maybe we can fit them in with our demonstration as well. For the first step, I'm going to head over to Jeremy. Jeremy, can you show us what the Power Automate interface looks like?
Yeah, so right now I'm sharing my screen of the default Power Automate environment. Like our last session with Power Apps, this also is a web interface which we can access through going to flow.microsoft.com, and on the left side we have some actions we can get started with. For here I have my flows. There's where I start creating my automated processes, but also we have a tab templates. Maybe would like to show you some examples. Maybe your solution is already there in the templates. So it is a very large list of already made solutions by Microsoft or other persons that are submitted to this list. And here we have an example. Where is it? Here is, for example, when someone sent a message, sent an email when a new message is added to Microsoft Teams. So I will also receive an email of that message. It's also possible to, and I know this template is here to receive a message when someone uploads a new file to SharePoint.
Great, so this is actually a good starting point as well. If you're getting started with Power Automate, you can check the template list, and then there are a lot of solutions which you can experiment with to get started with the solution, right?
Yeah, it's like a little cheat sheet.
Wonderful. Thanks. And how to create your own flow, your blank new workflow? Yeah,
so for that I'm going to my flows on the left side again, and I'm going to get started by pressing new flow. Little bit obviously, but you have to see the button for it. And here we have some selection of possibilities. For now, that's important information. For this session, we're going to focus on the cloud flows and not on the desktop or business processes.
Maybe that's for another session.
Yeah, indeed.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So for now, we're going to get started with the scheduled flow. Like Toine mentioned, we're going to create a flow of what the weather will be like tomorrow, if it's going to rain. For now, we have to name our flow. Demo weather, and I want this flow to start each day at 10 a.m. and repeat this every day. After I've configured this little wizard, I press create, and I have my starting point of the flow.
Wonderful. This looks very nice. So this flow starts every day automatically at 12 a.m. We are going to add some tasks because we want to know whether or not it's going to rain tomorrow. Can you show our users and viewers how to do that?
Yeah, indeed. It's very wonderful. But we're just getting started. So for now we have only the trigger condition. I would like quick to mention that it's also possible to change if your trigger condition if you made a mistake. For here, when I press on it, I can edit it and change it maybe for, if I want to, every week or every minute or every hour. For now I will keep it on day and each day. After we set our trigger condition, I'm going to add a new action. So that's what the flow needs to perform for you. Here we have Amazon weather. We're going to use that one. And I want to get the weather forecast for tomorrow. So right here we're already very far in the process of receiving the email when it's going to rain tomorrow. I'm setting my location. For now, I'm setting Utrecht as my location. Units metric. After that, I'm adding a condition. I'd like to call it an if statement. So if I say if statement, I mean condition.
Right, so we are using the condition because we only want to receive the email when the chance of rain is, for example, higher than 70%.
Yes.
That's why we use an if statement.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to configure indeed. So here I have to set up my if statement. So you can see it as a question if insert value is higher or equal to or less than, and then I can set the mandatory value of which it needs to verify.
Right.
So for now what I'm going to do, there's a whole list of all the possibility answers that's the outcome of this action. But I can't see it right now where the condition or the weather forecast for tomorrow is. So I'm going to search for tomorrow. It's not tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe you can search for rain chance or something
Yes,
like that.
rain chance, that is. So day rain chance, that was what I was looking for. And as we saw, I'm going back and delete this action because I want to point out something. No, here. So here we see that the received information, or the information that we will receive, is in %. So I need to make sure that also my value corresponded with that, and not the how many milliliters, for example. So day rain chance, and I want to set it to 70%, for example.
Yeah.
After that, we can configure what it needs to do if the percentage is higher than 70 or not. So if the percentage is higher, we want to receive an email. For now, I will send a fairly simple email to myself. It's going to rain. Bring umbrella.
Bring umbrella. Right, and maybe I'm noticing a small mistake because in the if statement you have if the rain chance is equal to.
Yeah.
You want to receive the notification when it's higher than 70%, right?
Yeah, you have a very keen eye for that. So indeed, it's when it's greater than 70%. So if it's 71, I will receive an email, else I won't receive an email.
Okay.
After that, I'm saving my workflow, and for now, I will receive every day an email on my email address when it's going to rain tomorrow.
Wonderful, great. So every day at 12 a.m., this flow retrieves the current weather, checks whether or not the rain chance is higher than 70%, and if it is, then it will send you an email notification.
Yes.
Can you also send a notification to your mobile device?
Yeah, it's also possible. You can access it's a different action. I will show it. So there's here an action that's called notify, or notification. And here I can send me a mobile notification.
Nice.
I insert the text. Maybe I want to let myself know how much chance there is on rain. So I'm going to set that warning dot, and then the rain chance again. So it will say, for example, 80% chance that it will rain.
Nice. This looks very promising. So basically, if I want to test it out, can you show our users how to do that? How they can test their flow?
Yeah. So I want to quick mention that we already know that tomorrow there's a very likely chance it's going to rain. So for now it will say no.
Luckily.
But I will demonstrate it anyway. So I'm pressing on the right top. I was a little bit too fast. On the right corner, top corner, I will press test and then manually. It asks me to confirm my action. Right now it's running. And we see that my flow has run successfully. And here we have all the information. So here the if statement, the expression result is false. And also I can show, if I see it very quick, how much percent chance there is. But here's a quick overview of all the information we have about the day of tomorrow.
Right. So every day this flow will run, and if I need to bring my umbrella, I will get a notification. That saves me a lot of time. Maurice, are there any questions from our viewers?
Yes, Toine. Yes, Toine. Yeah, the question is, can I also share this flow with my colleagues?
Yeah. There are multiple ways to do that. Jeremy, can you tell us about these ways?
Yeah, so there are two common ways to share your flow with your colleagues or maybe other persons. So you can share the flow with the user so he can work also on the same workflow, but also to make, do you say that, an export of the flow, so you can import it on your own account, and so you have a copy of your flow.
Right, so when you send a copy, the person receiving it can adjust it to their own requirements.
Yeah, so maybe they want an email or a Twitter message to themselves or something else. You can make it as crazy as you want. You can change it the way you like it.
Nice, thanks. Maurice, are there any other questions?
Yes, there's another question. This one is from Friso. He asks, these flows can become very large very quickly. Can we reuse flows within a flow?
That's an even better question. Yeah, you can reuse flows, and you can create, for example, one flow that is used from different flows by triggering it. So there's an action with which you can trigger another flow. So basically, if you have multiple different scenarios, but you have one component that repeats itself, then you can call that one from every single flow. So yeah, it doesn't really matter though, because you can make flows almost as big as you want to, and it all runs from the cloud, so it doesn't have any impact on your machine's performance. But yeah, if you want to, you can reuse specific components. All right?
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions for now?
Not at the moment, Toine.
Wonderful. Well, keep them coming. We are happy to answer them. Let's wrap up this first flow. Let's head over to our second one, which is a flow that starts on the push of a button, and it sets our out of office. For example, when we have a busy day, we push the button, it automatically sets our out of office.
Yeah.
Jeremy, go ahead.
Thank you. So we are back again at the start screen, and I'm going to the top left, pressing I want to create again a new flow. For this time, I want to make an instant cloud flow, as Microsoft likes to call it, and I'm choosing to manually trigger a flow. I'm pressing create. I forgot to set the name of my flow. It's very important you have some kind of name convention, because this is the only thing you have for information, how to retrieve the information about what kind of flow is it, what does it do, and maybe it's part of a bigger solution. So for now, like previously, I'm calling it demo, and then out of office. We have our trigger again. We can add some information. Maybe you want to add a message. We can configure ourselves. So when I press on the button, the flow will ask, well, what is the message you want to set in your out of office in this example. For now, I won't do that, but it's possible to ask input from the user when they launch this flow. After that, you don't believe it, but it's fairly easy. It's only a second step.
All right.
I'm searching for Outlook. And here we have our Outlook action connector, and we have all the actions here we can choose from. So right now I'm searching for the out of office, and here is set up automatic replies. I want it scheduled, and I want all the external contacts. The start time is now, so we're going to the right side. Last time I used some information that was already available to us from the previous action, but for now I'm going to the expression. Some users will recognize some things from Excel. For example, in Excel you have some formulas like sum, concatenate, things like that. Here also there are some default expressions you can use to perform certain actions. So here what I'm doing is I'm pulling up the current time. UTC now.
Right, and you're using UTC now because you know that's the formula that retrieves the current date and time.
Yeah.
But if users don't know which one to use, what's the best source to look for those answers to their questions?
Yeah, so you can always call me or email me.
Right.
But there are different answers. You can search this on docs.microsoft.com, but also there's some explanation here when you search here in this list. So I will scroll through this list, and you see there's some date-time actions, math functions. Here I have date-time, and under UTC now it's also already says returns the current time stamp as a string.
Right. And the name is very straightforward as well. UTC now, it means you're getting the current time in UTC format, right?
Yeah, for us it's very normal, but it depends on which language you program in, because in Word it's now, I like to recall, it's now open bracket, close bracket, but I'm not too sure. And each language is different. So if you're familiar with some languages, here again it's a different language. So you have to get familiar with this language. But then when you understand it, here also, for example, get past time. I'm pretty sure I can explain you without reading what it does.
Right. All right. Thanks.
So I'm going to continue setting up my workflow. And I don't want to set end time. I want to disable it manually, so I'm going to keep that empty for now. And I only also want to set an internal reply for my colleagues, because it's important to me that they know I'm not available right now. So I'm going to set the message right now. Please call me if it's... I'm going to save the workflow. And the workflow is finished.
Nice. So when you have a busy day, in the morning you press the button and the flow automatically sets you out of office with the text defined over here. Without an end time, maybe there's a question from our viewers as well asking this, but what's your advice on disabling the out of office? Can you just create another flow for that, or do you create a delay or something like that?
It depends on the situation. Normally, when you're busy for that day, you can set it to automatically end at the end of the day. So I'm pressing the button, getting the current day, but set the time fixed for like 8 o'clock. On other situations, you don't know how long you're busy, or you can indeed create another flow, and you can then disable the out of office with the same button or a different button, but the same triggering condition.
Nice. Well, thanks for your response. Was this a question from our viewers as well, Maurice?
Well, yeah, there is a question indeed. It was about the easiest way to turn off your out of office notification, and yeah, do you need to create a new workflow for this?
Yeah. Well, like Jeremy said, there are multiple ways to do this.
You can also disable it through your Outlook client or mobile application, so you don't have to create a flow for it.
Multiple options. Great. Are there any other questions, Maurice?
Yes, there is. There's another one from Auke Beeksma. What are the main differences between Power Automate and alternatives like Betty blocks? Does Power Automate have clear advantages, or is it more a matter of taste, like Power BI versus Tableau?
This is not necessarily a tricky question, but it depends on preference. The main benefit of Flow and Power Apps, or Power Automate and Power Apps, is that it's already included in most of the Microsoft 365 subscriptions, and also has a native integration with the current services that you're using. So for example, it easily integrates with your Outlook, with your Sharepoint, with your Planner, Teams, to-do lists, whatever solution you're using in the Microsoft stack. And for example, an alternative like Betty blocks, you have to integrate it yourself with those services. It adds another supplier to your supplier list. You really need to create a connection yourself. So that's, for me, is the main benefit. And of course, it's already included in your subscription. So all your users with an Office 365 subscription can start using it tomorrow or straight after the session. And I hope this answers our viewers' questions. Do we have another one?
Not at the moment, Toine. That's it for now.
Thanks.
So keep those great questions coming up.
Indeed. Let's head over to our third flow, one that automatically starts when we add a new item to a SharePoint list.
Yeah. So for that, I want to make a recap to our last session, because I'm going to reuse some information of that session. Last session, for the viewers who didn't watch our live stream, we made an app that lets our co-workers or employees order some devices or necessary tools to perform their job. And when they placed an order, it's created in the SharePoint item list. I will show the list it created an item of their order. So here we see the orders that has been placed in the last session. And now what we're going to do is, when a new order is placed with the app we created, an approval will start. So I'm going back to my Power Automate, create a new flow, and select Automated Cloud Flow. It's possible here, it's right here already, to select the necessary trigger conditions, but if you can't find it, or you have already a flow, this is the screen you're presented with. Here also you can search for the right conditions, triggers, etc. So I'm searching here for SharePoint, and here we have a list of all the trigger conditions. Keep in mind, here's triggers, here's actions. For now we are working in triggers, and here at the top we have when an item is created.
Right, but I already saw tens of other triggers, for example, when a new item is deleted, or when an item is modified, or when a new folder is created, or when a document is uploaded. So there are a lot of triggers. Basically, for every action in SharePoint, there's a trigger that can trigger a workflow, right?
Yeah, and now we're only talking about SharePoint, but here let me quick open this list. There are tons of other connections you can create, and if the connection is not here, you can create it with an API connection. You can integrate it with an API.
Right, so maybe this is something we can clarify a bit more for our viewers. Power Automate doesn't only integrate with your current Microsoft services, but there are a lot of connectors available, so you can also connect Power Automate with your existing systems. So for example, when you're using Asana or Zendesk or whatever solution, there is a big chance that there's a connector available, so you can also use Power Automate with those solutions.
Thank you. So for now we're going back to SharePoint. When an item is created, so that's where I was creating a connection with the SharePoint site I've made. Demo order lists. And when an item is created in the list orders, set a nice name. create a new step. Always important to set a good name for your actions and for your flow. And I would like to start an approval. So right now I'm searching for approval because I know it exists, but I can also search in the this list again. Also for the trigger, is applied to the trigger, but also for the actions. Here, let's see if I can find it very quick.
I think it was the second one from the top.
Yeah, you're right. And I want to start and wait for an approval. There are different types of approval. For now, I'm going to set one user to receive an approval and give approval for this action, but it's possible to set multiple. As you can see, you can set that everyone who has received an approval has to approve or reject the approval request, or the first one who has responded is good enough, and then all the others don't have to respond anymore. For now, we have only one person, so I'm going to set it to first who is responding. Approval. The title is approval, and then I'm inserting the title field of our SharePoint list. Assign to. Would you like to be my manager today?
Of course. And tomorrow as well.
We have to talk about that. So I've assigning to you statically, but it's also possible to set it dynamically. And maybe make a matrix list on the background and searching for which department, which user has to approve it. But now we're getting very far in the technique of that.
Right, but you can also retrieve the manager of the user who submitted the order.
Yeah, so I will very quick show that. I can insert an action in between something I already made. So here, new step, add a step. And I know there is an Office 365 connector, Office user, and I want to get manager. And then I insert the user, I will retrieve the information of the user and its manager, and then I can set it in the approval workflow.
Awesome.
So I'm going to delete it for now. Keep it simple. Trying to keep it simple. Here I'm adding the details. To give an example, I will set the time of which when the item is created. Picking here the created time. Created. And for the viewers who watched our last session, we also have one column with all the order details, or of all the information the user ordered, so for a screen, maybe for a mouse, things like that. We can add a link to some documentation about this approval, some legal information, or we can also add a link to the item it's referring to. So when they click on the link, the SharePoint item will be opened. For this, I like to use this one, link to the item, and here, open item. So this is the text that is displayed in the email or message. We have some advanced information about who's requesting this request, enable notifications, and also the reassignment, if it's possible or not to reassign this workflow or this approval to someone else. Maybe if you're out of the office and someone needs approval, you can quickly reassign it to someone else to take care of it. After that, you want to check if the approval, you in this example, has approved the approval.
Right, so the flow will wait for somebody approving or rejecting it and then continue.
Yeah, so like the name says, it starts and waits for the approval. So it puts the rest of all the actions on hold until everyone, depends on what you're setting here. For now, it's the first to respond, then it continues. But if you're setting it to everyone must respond, it waits until everyone has responded to the request.
All right.
I'm continuing with my if statement. Here I'm setting the outcome of the approval, and I know it has to be approve or reject. When you don't know something about the information, what it's going to return or possibly return, you can start the flow, press approve, and then on the body of the log you can see what the outcome was and copy that information here. When the status is the outcome is approved, I would like to update the item of Sharepoint. So I'm going to search for Sharepoint here. Update item. The Sharepoint site again, the same Sharepoint site. Order list and the ID of the item where it started.
Right, and because you have used that trigger, the dynamic content are automatically suggested to you.
Yeah, so it knows this field has to be an integer type of value, so it's only displaying me all the integer values I have at my disposal.
Right, so this makes it very easy for beginner users to actually work with variables in this flow.
Yeah.
Awesome, okay.
Title is mandatory, so it doesn't change. I don't want to change it, so I'm going to set the title as it was. So I'm setting here title, so the title will be renamed to its title it already was, so nothing will change. And here I'm setting the status to approved. It's a column in my Sharepoint list. I already made its choice field, and I'm setting here it as approved. Maybe I want to receive an email also as a user who created this item. It's possible to send an email, but like you mentioned, the possibilities are endless. If you want to get the weather, if after something else is approved, be my guest, make it. It is possible.
Right, you can tweet it, you can submit it to your vendor or whatever.
I won't tweet it, about your information, but it's possible.
All right. Cool, so this third flow, it starts when an item is created in my Sharepoint list. It waits for approval from one's manager. Once it is approved, it performs other actions. That's awesome. Can you give us another example of flows that we as Wortel are using in practice? Because we see 3 examples, 2 personal examples, notification about rain, out of office. Are there ways in which you can implement Power Automate for your business to automate business processes?
Yeah, so the first one I have to think of is the flow I made for Wortel is that every Monday we perform a check on everyone's hours if it has been submitted. We would like to know how much a person worked, and maybe we have sent to, the bill to the client. Maybe something is wrong with one of our colleagues, maybe it's sick, so we like to keep track on it. So every Monday a check will be performed on our system as everyone submitted their hours. If not, they will get a reminder, hey, we see you didn't submit your hours, is there something wrong, please submit them or contact our department about your hours.
Right. Yeah, one flow that I'm using is when I create a new vendor in my vendor list, it automatically sends an onboarding flow with a couple of questions to the person who is responsible for the vendor. So there are thousands of ways in which you can implement Power Automate to automate specific business processes.
Yes.
Nice. Well, this was our third flow. Maurice, are there any questions about this specific flow?
Yeah, there's a question about this flow, the approval flow for the orders. So the question is, if an order is not approved, who gets a message about that?
Yeah. Well, that's basically what we use the if statement or the condition for. In this specific example, when the order is approved, it continues with the flow on the left-hand side, and it performs those actions. But if you want to perform actions if it is not approved, then you simply put the actions in the box on the right, and then those actions will be performed accordingly. So whatever you define.
Let me show it. So maybe if you want to receive a message, or the person who, maybe it's a better idea, the person who created the item, that to notify them his item has been rejected. So it's possible to drag and drop. So I'm dropping it right now to the no statement. So if the item is not approved, I will want to send an email to created by his email address, and then approval rejected. And then here we can make a whole email about the outcome. It has been rejected, or we can also the response. So we have response comments. We can insert that. We can add some information about which item and make it as crazy as we want.
Maybe you can add a reason for not approving it?
Yeah, so that's the comment, what I was talking about. It's possible to add that. So everyone has the option when with this action to say I approve this action or not, and give also some comments about why you approve or don't approve, and you can reply it in the email. So
Awesome.
All that information will be retrieved in this action when it continues.
I have a tricky question for you. What's your favorite Power Automate action to use in practice?
Well, then we are getting very complex, but it's the HTTP request action, because then all things are getting loose. I can create everything with that.
Right, so basically there are ways to integrate with systems not supporting a connection out of the box by using HTTP connection.
Yeah, so that's what's the first story I was telling about APIs. It's possible to create or connect with other solutions if they have an API, for example. Or the Microsoft Graph is also available at your disposal, but with the right connections. It's not a standard connection, but you can create and talk to the Microsoft Graph with the HTTP action.
Right. You know which one I like? There's a trigger that starts a workflow when somebody tweets about your company. And there's also an action available with which you can do a sentiment analysis. So for example, check if the person tweeting about it is positive or negative. And if it's negative, then you can, for example, send the marketing team a message. So when somebody tweets about your company, you can check, is this a positive or a negative tweet? And if it's negative, you can immediately do something with that. So that's an example of unlimited possibilities.
Yeah, so you're also including now AI in the process that's already at your disposal, right?
Awesome. And the best ways for me to check what all the actions are is just trying and just figuring out the templates and the actions and just testing something out. Is that your advice as well? Yeah,
so at the start your imagination is the limit. And after that, well, you will get to the limit of Power Automate, but as far as now, I'm not reaching the limit of Power Automate. There's always a workaround to solve another problem or creating another connection.
Great, and our users, of course, after this session want to start using Power Automate immediately. Do you have any final tips for them if they are starting creating their own workflows? Is there a way, do you need to test it frequently while creating it, or do you have any tips for them?
So a few tips. Have a look at the templates, and if you're creating a flow, make some compose actions in the meantime and insert all the information you have to verify, is the information I think I'm going to receive, is it correct? So verify every time, is the information I assume I will receive actually the information I will receive? So that you don't, for example, if you're creating a very complex flow and at the end it doesn't do what you want. For example, you expect a certain amount of items, but no items will be retrieved.
Mm-hmm.
Have a look at which items are being retrieved. in the meantime.
Right. And in the test interface, when you're testing a flow, for each specific step, you can see what has happened. So also when something goes wrong, there's most of the times a logical explanation why it went wrong.
Yeah, so here I'm showing on my screen again the first workflow we made for the weather forecast. Here we're seeing the input, so it's Utrecht and metric. And here we see the output, so all the information we get from this action.
Yeah, cool. Okay, these are really valuable tips. I want to give our viewers one last tip. If it doesn't work out, call us. Search Google for answers. A lot of people are using Power Automate. There's a lot of help available online. If something doesn't work straight away, test it. Check the error messages, and like I said, if it doesn't work, then you can always call Jeremy or me. Maurice, before we wrap up this live stream, do we have any final questions?
Yes. We have a couple more questions, Toine. There's a question from Friso, and he asks, well, it's a bit like your question you asked to Jeremy about which flow that you've built in any day helped you the most personally.
Yeah.
So your first answer was about the HTTP requests, but I can imagine there's another flow that really helped you doing just simple stuff, something like that.
Yeah, like I said, we are using a lot of flows. I myself have already created 20 of them, and some are for me personally to make my life easier, but some of them are for example, managing our suppliers. They help us manage our suppliers. So it's very hard for me to say which saves me the most time. But I think the one which I already talked to Jeremy about, the one that automatically sends the supplier, the responsible person for the supplier, a list of questions for the onboarding, that one saves me a lot of time. And for you, Jeremy?
Yeah, so I really like to answer this question because I have two flows on top of my mind. That's also available on our GitHub of Wortel I published. It's two workflows. One is an automatically one for each Teams or Microsoft Teams meeting, and automatically buffer time will be placed at the end of that meeting. So it's not the default Outlook solution where it shortens the meeting, but it adds a new event after your Teams meeting. So you have some time to take a coffee or take a break or going to the toilet. And another one is also available at our Wortel GitHub. It's one I made very long ago and still use, but not as frequently as in this period of year. But it's about when I have an appointment with our client. Every appointment, my flow will look at the location and calculate the travel distance and the travel time and make a new appointment in front of it, so I know exactly how late I need to get in the car and start driving.
Can you share that one with me?
Yeah.
I want that one as well.
It's already on our GitHub, so you can download it yourself and install it yourself with the whole manual about how you're installing it. It's fairly easy to get if you read carefully the manual.
Awesome. Well, then I have one final question from my side. Can you show our viewers how they can import these flows from our GitHub?
Yeah. So what we need to do is, when we going to Microsoft Flow, we have a nice import button here. In my example, I already uploaded my flows in a zip file. So here it's also asking us for a zip file. We press upload. It's going to the file finder of your OS system. You select the zip you have downloaded, and after you've uploaded, another wizard starts, and you just need to answer the questions. And after that, depends on the flow. In my example, you need to open the flow and set your current calendar ID. So it's connecting to your own Exchange calendar, and after that you're ready to get it started.
But everything is very straightforward once you upload the zip package?
Yeah, so again, it depends on the solution. If it's a very complex and big workflow, maybe you have to change some settings to your own environment, but some are fairly easy.
Cool.
For example, the Teams meeting is only setting your own calendar event ID, setting the desired time of buffer time, and it's finished.
A lot of stuff to work with, a lot of stuff to try. Maurice, I suggest we are going to wrap up this live stream. Let's head over to our final questions. Do we have any?
All right. Yeah, there's another question about the approval flow. It's from Jamie, and the question is, can you also put a time frame on the approval or disapproval? That if there is no response within the time frame, the flow continues in another direction. So different outcome.
Yeah. No, good question. And I see Jeremy already looking at the settings of his Power Automate flow. Can you do that, Jeremy?
Yeah. So it's possible, and now we are getting really in the more advanced, not fairly advanced, but it's not. It was not planned in our session. But anyway, great question. So here we have start and wait for an approval. You can say that when after a certain amount of time, the flow will continue anyway. So there hasn't been an approve, so the outcome is not equal to approve. So then it's go to no. So it's assumed it's rejected, or send an email. It's also possible to say I want to start an approval. Wait for it. So it's a separate action. Send a reminder to the user. So after the wait, send an email and then wait again. So it's again possible. I will show that fairly quickly.
Right, so there are multiple ways to do this. You can make it as complex and as easy as you want to.
Yeah.
But specifically reminding users, etc., basically require adding extra actions to your workflow.
Yeah. So what I did right here is set start and wait for an approval. In the settings of this action, we can say, well, about after a certain amount of time for P1D, period is 1 day. It will stop. I want to send an email. And I want to send it to the approver. Is that the value?
I guess so, but this is, to be honest, I think for beginner users a bit too advanced. I saw you entering P1D.
Yeah.
Maybe that makes it a bit too difficult. It's a good question though, but I think for this specific session it's a bit into detail and we don't want to scare our viewers with too much detail. So I hope this answers the question of the viewer. If it isn't, just let us know. Are there any other questions, Maurice?
No, that's it for this week, I think. Yeah.
Wonderful.
About questions.
Well, don't make us wait any longer. Who's the winner of the Amazon gift card?
Okay, well, the winner of the Amazon gift card of this week is Auke Beeksma. So, Auke, please send an email message to ask@wortel.nl and we will make sure you get your prize.
Wonderful. Great. Auke, congratulations. This brings us to the end of the live stream. We hope this session enables you to get started with Power Automate yourself. Like we already mentioned, just try specific stuff and you will notice immediately that it can perform time-consuming tasks that you would otherwise have to perform yourself. I want to thank Jeremy for demonstrating Power Automate to us. Also, big thanks to Jeroen Niesse, who did everything backstage and took care of the production. Maurice, of course, also big thanks to you. If you are really getting good at Power Automate and Power Apps, make sure to check our Work at Wortel website because we have a Power Apps and Automate vacancy available. And of course, a big thanks to all of you watching. Subscribe to our channel and see you the next time.